national team,
Yeah, but these ones are still in their prime. Going to this competition, the biggest star for the Indomitable Lions was Joel Matip. He was the most high-profile player for them, playing for Liverpool. And when he said he was not going, I mean, everybody felt bad. Neom and so many other players, 8 of them, 8 regular players. The guy that emerged the most valuable player of the competition was not even in the running at all. He wasn't supposed to even go for this competition, but because of this massive pullouts from the Cameroonian players, Coach Hugo Bross was eventually forced to take these new players to the competition. And yes, we know Vincent Abubakar from Porto and now in Besiktas, and what he's been able to do in Europe. We know he's a good striker, but you saw how Bruce was even keeping him on the bench and bringing him on, and he became a super sub for him and got the goal that eventually won the African Cup of Nations. So I agree 100% with El Hadji Diop that, look, when it comes to your country, you should give more to the country of your birth. You should be more dedicated. As he said, when you retire, you're not going to remain in Europe. But that's one thing many of them do not understand. Austin J.J. Okocha is here in Nigeria. Yeah, he could go to Europe, but he is now based in Nigeria. Austin Eguavon is here with us in Benin. Yeah, he could have engagements that will take him to Europe. But this is your country. It is the only country. Even if you have dual nationality, honestly, my brother, you only have one country. So you should be prepared to make some sacrifices for your country. So I agree 100% with El Hadji Diop that these guys who do not want to play for their country, they are not doing the right thing. He says he doesn't understand why people will turn down their country. And he even quoted Bob Marley, that Bob Marley says, if you don't know where you are coming from, then you don't know where you are going to go. And honestly, I mean, you must understand these things. You must be proud of your origins. And if you have chosen to play for your country, there are so many of them that were born there in Europe, or some who went very early, so they really do not know much about their country. But now, these days, you have some of them even coming back. Wilfred Zaha, born in Cote d'Ivoire, but went to the UK when he was still a kid, and he could have played for England if he wanted to, but maybe he looked at one or two things and said, look, I would prefer to play for my country. But I'm sure before he switched allegiance, nobody knew. Not many people knew he was actually from Cote d'Ivoire. Yeah, the same thing with Alex Iwobi, who is now playing for the Super Eagles. So when you have situations like that, and you now have some other players who you can't even switch allegiance anymore. You have played for your country. You know, football is not like athletics. Even athletics will get there. They have decided to stop it now. So you cannot just, after you've run from one country, you go to another country to say you want to switch your nationality. It doesn't work that way, even in athletics anymore. So those guys who refuse to play for Cameroon, they had their issues. But I think as we are blaming those players, as we are criticizing them, the FAs should also step up. The government of the countries in Africa should also step up. I mean, it is really sad that we're having all this issue. Cameroon, let's not forget, refused to train ahead of their semi-final against Ghana, and because of these bonus issues. The Ghanaians themselves had to make a sacrifice and say, okay, we do not want any issue, so don't just give us whatever you like. Because in their World Cup qualifiers, they had some issues that some players did not even want to come because they were always having one problem or the other. In Nigeria, we know how it is. We know what happens after the Super Falcons won the African Cup of Nations, and they held the trophy for some time. So let's hope that Cameroon will not have any cause to hold the trophy. And even look, their team, their women's team that finished second, we know how they were celebrated by the president of the country. Paul Biya is somebody who loves sports very much, particularly football. So I'm sure they are not going to have this issue. They are going to really take care of these guys. But it doesn't mean, and you should not justify the fact that the FAs and the countries are not doing the right thing. No, they should treat the players well, because some of these officials, and that is what really annoys the players. You are telling us that there is no money, But when you want to travel, there is always money available. When you have anything to do, there will be money. But when it is our turn, that's when you start telling us that there is recession, there is no money, there is one problem or the other. So these players get angry when they see things like that. But for many of them who are based in Europe, who make so much money from their clubs, I think they should be ready to sacrifice when it comes to their country. So when they are invited, they should honor such invitation. So I agree with El Hadji Diop in that regard.
All right, El Hadji Diop, one of the strikers that came out from this continent that I have so much respect for. Okay, still talking football now. And now everybody is no longer talking about Kelechi Iheanacho at Manchester City. I think to some extent, as we speak right now, Sergio Aguero is now in the shadows, just to say, just for this time. Gabriel Jesus. Is it possible for Sergio Aguero 28 to leave the Etihad Stadium during the summer transfer window that is fast approaching? Because everybody, like even Chelsea, even Real Madrid, will want to snap him up.
Well, Manchester City have said they have no intention of selling him, and I think they will be really stupid to sell Sergio Aguero. As I said yesterday, this guy in that number 9 position, as far as I'm concerned, he is arguably the most natural finisher. He's the deadliest striker. Yes, Diego Costa has got strength and he can bully his way, he can score goals. Lionel Messi, playing as a false number 9, has got the guile and trickery and what have you. Luis Suarez has got the passion, he's got the skills, he's got the pace. But Sergio Aguero, there are some kind of goals he scores that you just go, wow, how did he do that? Particularly when he has his back to goal. That is, to me, I believe that is when he is most dangerous. And he can score all sorts of goals. He can take the ball on a run, go past 3 defenders and score. He can do so many great things. So I don't think any club will be wise to let him go, let alone Manchester City. Gabriel Jesus, yeah, he's doing well, but sometimes these things come with the adrenaline that pumps into you when you just arrive at a new club. You want to prove something, so it is there. But for how long can that carry you? I'm sure he will also have bad days, and when that happens, you will be in serious trouble. And I don't think there has ever been a time when consistently for like a month you had Sergio Aguero not being in form. I don't think so. Yeah, he may have 1 or 2 bad games, but he hardly goes 3 matches without scoring a goal. So I see no reason why they should even be having any problems at all with Sergio Aguero, except there are things happening off the pitch that we are not aware of.
Yeah.
But if it is by the statistics that he churns out every week when he's on the pitch, then Manchester City are not even treating him well at all. The same thing I said about Kelechi Iheanacho, because the few times that Kelechi Iheanacho has been given the opportunity
to play,
I think he's done well. Yes, when you look at the number of matches he's played, the number of minutes he spent on the pitch, and the number of goals he scored, the number of assists, his off-the-ball runs and everything, I think he's done pretty well. So I don't understand why they've suddenly just dropped him completely from the first team. Yes, they have Leroy Sané, and but Leroy Sané, I don't think he's even done better than Kelechi Iheanacho. Yeah, Gabriel Jesus, looking at the short time he has arrived, the number of goals he scored, the impact on the team, yes, he's done better than Kelechi Iheanacho. But I don't think it's still right to just drop somebody who has won the English Premier League for you. Sergio Aguero virtually won the English Premier League for Manchester City
for the first time.
The first time that they won it.
Yeah.
And even the next one,
he did the same thing.
He contributed immensely. So you cannot just jettison such a player because you now have a new bride in Gabriel Jesus. Well, Pep Guardiola, he said that there is really no problem. That Sergio Aguero is on the bench now, but he doesn't think he will stay there for long. Let's hope he's right. Let's hope that it really is no problem. And very soon we'll have Kun Aguero back. But if he somehow lets him go, then the kind of backlash he will suffer, I think, might eventually force him to leave Manchester City.
Now, there's a big question at the other side of England, in Liverpool. How wrong were they to have given Jurgen Klopp a 6-year contract? Now, his fellow German international, Damat Hammer, former Liverpool player, he knows how to win Champions League because he was in that team that won the UEFA Champions League against AC Milan. They came from 3 goals down, and that game, it was, to me, one of the best Champions League I've seen in recent days. Dietmar Hamann. He's questioning Liverpool's mentality of giving Jurgen Klopp a 6-year contract because this year they've refused to win a game apart from the FA Cup replay.
I think it's unfair to question the number of years that Jurgen Klopp was given. This is one of the best coaches in the world. So I don't think it will be right to question the number of years that the man was given. And because he's going through a bad period right now, does not mean he will not turn things around. When Liverpool were flying at the beginning of the season, I mean, people were talking about how they were going to win the league. And I said, no, we should be cautious because I have looked at that team and I do not think that defensively they are okay. And you cannot win the English Premier League without having a rock-solid defense. That, no defense is that good that they will not concede a goal all through the season. No. The best we've had was Chelsea in 2004-2005. They conceded just 15 goals the entire season. That is remarkable. It's a record till today. So you have a defense that will concede 25, 30 goals at the end of the season and you can still win the league. But you need a defense that will go several matches with clean sheets. That is what will give you the title. We had Liverpool tearing teams apart. They could score 5 goals, but most times you have the opposition putting a goal into their nets. So defensively, I saw that they were not really solid. So if I'm going to fault Jurgen Klopp, it will be that at least in January, he should have tried to fortify that defense. He has not done that, and right now, that is the issue that they are having. Because going forward, I don't know, but I think they are still the best attacking team in the English Premier League. We'll have to look at how many goals that they have scored. But they are exciting to watch going forward. It's just that, I don't know, maybe playing at Anfield, I don't know, it seems to have caused them some issues. At the beginning of the season, they had renovations at Anfield, so they played most of their matches away from home. Remember that they beat Arsenal at the Emirates Stadium. At one point, it was 4 goals to 1. Before eventually the game ended, I think 4-3. 4-3, I think. So the problem was that they were conceding goals. That was the issue. They played against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, and they beat Chelsea 2-1. They scored some great goals in that match, but Chelsea still found a way to score and should have even scored at least one more goal in that match. The same defensive issue that they had. So I think the only problem is that defense. If they're able to fix it, then they will do well. But to question the number of years that Jurgen Klopp was given, I don't think it is fair, because the man is somebody who is a great coach. He won the Bundesliga with Borussia Dortmund. He got as far as the final of the UEFA Champions League. Yeah, so you cannot just throw all that away because you're having a bad season. Pep Guardiola, too, that we're talking about. I mean, some people were complaining some time ago that he's not a good coach. I remember we responded that you cannot say that just because he's having a bad season. That does not wipe off all the good things he's done in the past. So I do not agree with Hamann at all that Liverpool didn't do well in giving Jurgen Klopp 6 years. Well, you could argue that 6 years is too long for anybody, but the beauty of this whole thing is that a contract could be 20 years, but there are usually clauses inserted which says if you do not do this, or this, we can terminate the contract. The coach himself can decide that, look, I don't want to do this job anymore. I've got a better offer. And when such happens, there are clauses inserted. You could buy off your contract. You could compensate the club by paying them some money, and so on. Remember so many things that we saw when Di Matteo was leaving Chelsea. When they sacked him, there was a contract clause inserted in his contract that if they sacked him, they were going to pay him until he got a job. So he could have, at least for, they said, I think the thing was 3 years or so, that they were going to pay him until he got a job. So he could have just relaxed and said, okay, I'm not looking for a job. After all, Chelsea will pay me until I'm able to secure a job. But you eventually got it. I think the same thing even happened with Andres Villas-Boas. You know, so it depends on you when you are signing a contract. Try and insert some of those clauses in there. If the club really wants you, they will sign. They will agree with your conditions. You know, eventually. So I think Jurgen Klopp will turn this around.
I'm loving that kind of contract anyway. Now, let's turn our attention away from football. Let's go straight to athletics. Now, it seems as if this news, one way or the other, we are going to be hearing of it, talking about the Russia state-sponsored doping, because right now, they are set to miss this summer's World Championship after athletics body voted to extend their suspension from international competition for state-sponsored doping cases. Now, I really don't understand. Is there going to be an end to this thing about Russia?
Well, I don't know, but the way it is going now, it is not good at all for them.
You know,
we've had them missing out of a major tournament. So the way it is going, if they do not resolve it, the next Olympics we might not even have the Russians. You know, just like the last one, we had them pulling out, or the IWF saying they cannot compete in so many events, and just a few of them eventually made it to the competition. So they've now told them that they cannot be taking part at the 2017 World Athletics Championship, but that some Russian athletes who will pass the test, who are determined to be clean, they can compete under a neutral banner, because they do not want a blanket ban on everybody and you punish some innocent ones. So, but how many people will want to go and compete under a neutral banner when you are not representing your country?
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what's will happen from this. But it is really, really bad that this issue came up with Russia, and the way it was explained, we saw how wide it is. Yeah, the Russian government has come out to say, look, they are not involved in any doping. But if what we had was true, I mean, there is no way you can do that on such an elaborate scale without the government being involved. It is really organized, the way they explain how it went. Kind of like what Lance Armstrong did, the doping ring that he ran. It was mafia style, you know. Everything was properly taken care of, but that of the Russians even took it higher from what we had of what they did. So even if an athlete is full of dope, I mean, he submits a sample to you, but before then he had already submitted a clean sample. So you know, those things are not just done immediately and they bring out the result. It takes time. So that period that you will wait to properly analyze what the sample that the athlete supplied, then this is where all the apparatus comes in, and they have people, lab technicians, scientists, and everything, doctors, who will go and switch the sample that contains the banned substances with the clean one that the athlete submitted earlier. So you see, there is no way you will catch such people. So because it ran deep, and because now they have discovered that these doping, these drugs that these athletes take, some of them could even work in the system for the next 10 years. So maybe that's why they are thinking that, look, these athletes that have been using drugs, we should not even allow them participate at this World Athletics Championship. I think it's sending a clear message to Russia, and they are also responding. If you follow international politics, you will know what is happening. You know, how they have even been accused of interfering in the United States election. Yeah, so it's all these things are tied together.
But how can they really come out and clean these and ensure that some athletes that are there that are really clean go back to do in what they want to do for their country? How can they do it? How can they clean themselves from this?
The best they can do is to still come out and deny. That's what they will do, and that's what they've been doing. They will deny, and they will even threaten. They will try to curry sympathy from the rest of the world and say, look, they are just doing this to us, not because we are guilty, but because of deep-rooted international politics. It is because the Americans have always considered us their enemies, their greatest rivals, and all that. It is because of what is going on in other parts of the world. Remember, we had the Cold War for so many years. Well, they say the Cold War is over, but it seems that the Cold War is still going on. These guys seem to still be fighting by proxy.
Yeah.
The United States backs one set of people and calls them freedom fighters or whatever, rebels or whatever, and the Russians will call those guys terrorists. The ones that the United States will call terrorists, the Russians will say they are actually fighting against injustice of the governments in their country. So you have all these things going on, and that's why all these issues are coming up. Remember, Russia is going to host the 2018 World Cup, and the West were not happy with that when they won that right to host the 2018 World Cup. And all sorts of, in fact, what happened in FIFA, the fall of Sepp Blatter, fall of Michel Platini, and so many other big names in FIFA, all started from when you had that 2018 and 2022 bid. Remember, England wanted the 2018 bid, the United States wanted the 2022 bid, but Russia got that of 2018 and Qatar got that of 2022. So some of these things,
we are angry.
Yes,
really,
it goes
angry.
beyond what we see, but I think there is sufficient evidence to tell us that the Russian, actually, there was kind of evidence of state-sponsored doping in the case of Russia, and that's why the IAAF is being so hard on them.
Okay, now let's move away from athletics.
Still on athletics.
Okay.
The IAAF, in the same time that they said that Russia will be banned from the 2017 World Athletics Championship, they also mentioned that there will be a freeze on changing of nationalities, which means an athlete, the way it is right now, even after you've represented your country or you've represented one country, Nigerians will remember Gloria Alozie at the was it the 2000 Olympics now?
Sydney, to Sydney.
She ran for Nigeria, won a silver, and I was not happy with some of the people who said some things then, because they claim she lost her fiancé in that competition. He was also an athlete, but I think he was crossing the superhighway and he was knocked down by a vehicle and he died.
Yeah.
It was before the final of the 110 meters hurdles. She went and won a silver for Nigeria. She was beaten just marginally by Olga Shishigina. And our officials, instead of celebrating with her, instead of praising her, people were grumbling that she should have won the gold. This was somebody who lost her fiancé in that competition, somebody she was going to get married to. And she still competed, and people were grumbling that she should have won the gold. Nobody was praising her. Yeah, when you watch the race, she was even leading, and it was just towards the end of the race that Shishigina was able to overtake her. So she got angry, of course, with the way she was treated, and she switched her allegiance to Spain. Francis Obikwelu, remember him, doing very well alongside Deji Aliu and some other athletes. He also decided to switch his allegiance because he felt that he was not being treated right, and he went to Portugal, and we saw he did great things for Portugal, even won silver for them at the Olympic Games too. So, and so many athletes, particularly from East Africa, they've gone on to represent many countries, many of them in the Middle East, So now they have discovered that it seems that African talent, Africa is the most affected by this switching of allegiance. Yes, it seems that African talent is for sale. That some of these federations, what they do is just to ask who is available, which upcoming athlete is there, or which established athlete is ready to switch allegiance, and they just contact these guys. We'll give you this, we'll give you that, and there you have it. The guys will change their allegiance to these other countries. And they also claim that some of these athletes do not really know what they are getting into, that they don't know that once you switch your allegiance, you cannot switch it back, or you cannot switch to another country. You can only do two countries, If you represent Nigeria and decide to go to Great Britain, you cannot come back to say, okay, I've represented Great Britain, I want to represent Nigeria again. But I think the major problem is here in Africa. We should put our house in order. When you have your elite athlete like Blessing Okagbare complaining about the way some of the Nigeria, the Athletics Federation of Nigeria members or officials behave towards them. This is a world-class athlete, a super athlete, complaining. What do you think the upcoming guys will say the way they are being treated? Somebody posted something to my WhatsApp recently about our Nigerian athletes. The young guys who went out of this country to represent Nigeria, and the officials were telling them when they were complaining that, look, we don't have food, we don't have anything. They were saying you should count yourself privileged that you even traveled out. Well, we're not the ones that brought you to this country. If not for us, will you have had the opportunity to travel out? You can imagine you telling that to an athlete that is under the age of 20. And you think such an athlete will have Bahrain coming to say, okay, we are going to sponsor you and we want you to run for us, and you think that person will not go when he knows at the end of every month everything is taken care of. They have a doctor who is going to be attending to him. There is a physiotherapist. There is everything. His medical expenses are taken care of. His school is paid for his own scholarship and everything. Here you don't give that. Okay. We used to do it in the past, and that's how the Chidimos, the Innocent Bonike, Marion Yali, Falila Tukunkaya, they all benefited from stuff like this. But now it is not there anymore. So you will not blame these athletes for switching allegiance. IWF have put a ban on it now, but I think what will happen now, you have these athletes not even representing their countries of origin, because what they are talking about is you're changing your nationality. So I think
when you don't represent your country of origin,
yes,
you can just go over there and
because you have not represented your country at
yeah.
all. I don't think anybody can stop you if you somehow find your way there. Maybe you are in school and you are doing your athletics with your education, and you decide to, okay, I'm going to run for Great Britain or run for Saudi Arabia or any
USA,
other country.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. All right, we'll take a quick short break now for a commercial. We'll be right back on the show.
It is the gathering of gas generals across the land as the Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria Incorporated presents our 14th National Biennial Conference. Theme, From Glory to Glory. Date, from Tuesday 7 to Thursday night, February 2017. Time, Tuesday 7, 4 p.m., Wednesday 8 and Thursday night morning session, 6 a.m., then evening session, 4 p.m. daily. Venue, UBTH Ground, Ugbo, Lagos Road, Benin City, Edo State. Bringing God's word to you in this conference are Reverend Dr. Maokbai, Pastor E.A. Adeboye, Bishop Mike Okonkwo, Pastor Ayo Orise Jafo, Pastor W.F. Kumoyi, Archbishop Margaret E. Dausa, Bishop David Oyedepo, Pastor Paul Adefarasin, Reverend Dr. Mercy Ezekiel, other anointed ministers of the gospel. Chief host, Reverend Dr. Phyllis Amabode, National President PFM. There will be a special youth impartation service on Wednesday, February 8th at 9 a.m. There will also be free transportation. From glory to glory. Local organizing committee announcer.
Glad to know you're still there with us on the show today. Just in case you've forgotten, it is Sport Fiesta, reaching live from 92.7 KUFM. Then here in Benin, hanging out with the sports Berlusconi, Sanofi Francis, and Ibrahim Sport, Salio Ibrahim on the show today. Of course, away from athletics now, let's head straight to tennis. Fresh from just losing the Australian Open to another great, to me, the best man that has ever had the racket as far as tennis is concerned, Roger Federer. And of course, Nadal is not just looking ahead to the French Open. He's already looking ahead to the third Grand Slam of the year, which is the Wimbledon. He's going to be in London at the Queen's Club for a competition, and of course, hoping that before the end of the year, he should win at least 2 Grand Slams. Because if you ask me, if he's in fine form, everything goes accordingly, he should be able to win the French Open.
Yeah, and he is the best player on clay.
Yeah.
But last year he pulled out, and the year before that, the last time he won it was in 2014. So it means he's no longer invincible on clay. There was one time he failed to go past. Was it the third round now when he met Robin Sutherland?
Yeah.
Sutherland beat him, and that was the year that Roger Federer finally won the French Open. So yeah, we will say Nadal is the favorite, but I don't know. Going by, if he had won, as I said, if he had won the Australian Open, I think that momentum would have carried him, and I would not have seen anybody stopping him. But because he was beaten by Roger Federer, and he exerted himself very much. I mean, to go 5 sets in a 5 sets in 3 matches at the French Open, the Australian Open. It's not something that you recover from very easily. But now he will be concentrating on clay. But he's just talking ahead of Wimbledon, because after the French Open, it will be Wimbledon, which will be on grass. And one of the tournaments that they use to prepare for this is the one at the Queen's Club. Rafael Nadal won this in 2008, and that year he also won Wimbledon. I think he also won Wimbledon in 2010. So it's good for him that he will be using this to warm up for Wimbledon, and let's hope that he does well in those competitions. He is somebody that the tennis world needs. Even Roger Federer said it, that please, he was telling his team, please keep playing Rafa, because tennis needs him. And I think you need somebody like that to make tennis as exciting as it is. So it will be great to see. The competition will be held from the 19th to the 25th of June. Yeah, in London. So let's see what will happen with Rafael Nadal in that competition. And as we said, his exploits at the Australian Open has helped him move. And right now, from the latest ranking, he's even moved one step up. He's now number 6 in the world. Yeah, Roger Federer is number 10. Yeah, and Andy Murray still number 1. Novak Djokovic number 2.
Okay, now this one that happened over the weekend, it was just that I asked myself, you can never allow yourself to be this angry to do something very, very awful. I mean, if you watch the game of tennis, for those listening to us, the umpire is always there at a very, very high place, and of course, it is always very difficult for you to raise your racket and hit the ball as high as where the umpire is seated. But this young Canadian tennis player was trailing Kyle Edmund. Obviously, Kyle Edmund right now not in his league. But he got so angry. Dennis got so angry and hit the ball waywardly. And of course, he went straight up to hit the umpire. And now, though he regretted it, he was actually crying before the game, but he has been fined.
Yeah, he's been fined $7,000. That's 5,600 pounds. His name is Denis Shapovalov of Canada, and he's a young kid. He's just 17. So maybe you will understand the tantrum that he threw. He was angry. The full fine for this is 10,000, but he was given a reduced fine because it was determined that he didn't do it deliberately. He was just angry and he hit the ball so high. He was trailing 3-6, 4-6 to 1. So it was obvious that he was going to lose this game. So he just got angry and hit the ball anyhow. Didn't know where it was going, and he hit the umpire on his eye. And the moment he saw that, you could tell that he regretted it, because he had his hand in his mouth and was like, "Oh my God, what have I done?" Yeah, but eventually he lost that match because of what happened, and it reminded me of what this Argentine tennis player, David Nalbandian, he did it some years ago, and he was even much older than this 17-year-old kid. Yeah, he was trailing. I can't remember who he was playing now. It was in the final of one competition, and he got so angry with his performance that he just lashed out and kicked an advertising board that was placed by the court side. And there was an official seated behind the board, and as he hits that thing with his leg, the board now struck the official on the shin, and you could see from the way the guy screamed that he was in pain. And when he raised his trouser, you could see blood pouring out of his leg. Of course, David Nalbandian immediately lost that match, and he was also fined. So athletes should try as much as they can. We understand that it could be really frustrating when you are losing. And that's why even in football, you sometimes see some vicious tackles. Sometimes you will be tackled hard, and we see it happening many times in football. Somebody tackles you, the referee does not call an infringement. He allows play to continue, and you get angry, and you immediately slide in for a tackle, and you end up injuring somebody. And sometimes you get sent off. Sometimes it is a yellow card. So if you've ever been involved in sporting activity, you will understand that sometimes it is really frustrating. But in spite of all, I think people should try and keep their emotions in check. They should try and control themselves. And that's why so many people fall in love with Roger Federer. He is hardly flustered on the court. Even when he is losing, he is always calm. Somebody like a Rafael Nadal, you could see how he grunts, how he screams, how he the same thing with Novak Djokovic. At times he's talking to himself.
He ran the anger on the racket.
Yeah, you see people smashing their rackets, but you don't see that from somebody like Roger Federer, and that's why so many people they just love the way he plays the game. That does not mean that he doesn't get angry.
Yeah,
I've seen him even
human.
Sometimes he screams, but he hardly does it. It's rare. It is rare that you ever see Roger Federer getting worked up on the court.
All right, let us also tell you that Serena Williams remained the world number one. I mean, who can right now dispute her? I mean, she was just to some at the Australian Open. Then, of course, Jenny Cabot, the world number 2, and Karolina Pliskova is still world number 3. Simona Halep is still world number 4. And, of course, I'm trying to look for Wozniacki now. I'm trying to look down. Can I find Wozniacki? No, she's not here. But good news is Venus Williams now. For a very long time, she has not really been in the top 10, but she is in the top 11 because she's ranked world number 11. Hopefully that when Mara Sharapova is back again, she should be able to get into the second Grand Slam of the year. Talking about the French Open, of course, after her ban was must have elapsed. So let's hope that she can get back into it again and become one of the top 5 in the world anytime soon. Okay, let's move away from tennis now. Let's go to the game of rugby. This is not the good news. I mean, I fell in love with rugby because of the South Africans, actually. And one way or the other, I saw him, especially when he was with the Springboks. And to me, he was one of the best in the game. He dives into tackle, whether he's going to get it or not. He does things for his teams in those days. Now, we are not going to say that he's not the coach of the Springboks. We are not going to say that he's not the Minister of Sport in South Africa. But we are going to tell you that he died after battling with this disease, a motor neuron disease. It's strange to me. I really don't understand how that disease works. I had to Google it over the night yesterday to understand what it is, because when I saw the name motor, I was asking, do you drive cars and you get infected with disease?
Well, it's something that affects the nerves.
Yeah.
It's really not nice at all. Just van der Westhuizen is somebody that has battled this debilitating disease for about 6 years, and he fought it like a warrior. Eventually, he passed on yesterday at the age of just 45.
Sad.
This was somebody who won the World Cup, the Rugby World Cup in 1995. He was part of that Springbok team, and you know how Nelson Mandela inspired that victory. If you do not know, please go and watch the movie Invictus, starring Morgan Freeman and what was this guy's name that did Matt Damon, the guy that did Jason Bourne. So he was they were the stars of that movie. So Westhuizen sadly has passed on, and they called him one of the best scrum halves in the history of rugby. And until Brian Habana came and broke his record, he was the guy with the most tries for the Springboks of South Africa. He also captained them in the final of he captained them to the 1999 World Cup. I think they lost that World Cup.
Yeah, they did.
But he was somebody that was a legend in the game of rugby. We call him one of the finest number 9. Dan Carter, who's a legend for the All Blacks of New Zealand, said that Westhuizen was one of the few non All Black players that he adored. There are very few of them, and Westhuizen was one of them. At the 1995 World Cup, the All Blacks of New Zealand were the most dreaded team, and they had Jonah Lomu, who too sadly passed away some time ago at the age of just 40. And he said that Jonah Lomu was somebody that was just unstoppable. Nobody could take him on. In fact, even Nelson Mandela told him before the match that he shook his hand and said, "Jonah, I am really scared of you," because he was that powerful, and when he's running at you, nobody could stop him, and he was somebody who knows how to get tries. So there was one tackle that Westhuizen made on Jonah Lomu after he had taken on taken out the entire South African team, was running to make a try, but Westhuizen tackled him and brought him down. And when you see Westhuizen, you know, the rugby players, you know, many of them are big. Yeah, but he's the one of the smaller rugby guys, but he's got very big hearts. Yeah. And it's really sad that he's gone after battling this disease for such a long time.
All right, let's quickly head straight to wrestling now. Let's go straight to the Monday Night Raw, and after that we'll take the SMSS.
Okay, Monday Night Raw featured some exciting moments. Remember Samoa Joe? I told you last time that he attacked Roman Reigns and was standing over Roman Reigns. So they wanted to push him to the main roster, and you could see that now he's really in the main roster of Raw. Although he was supposed to sign his contract yesterday, but he was interrupted by the general manager of Raw, Mick Foley, Mankind, who was not happy with him, and he told him that, look, I thought you were the future of wrestling, but right now you've decided to become a stooge to somebody. And Samoa Joe told him, yes, I am the main man for Triple H. My loyalty is with Triple H, and he said he was going to choke up and beat up anybody who gets in his way. And that was when Roman Reigns came to the ring, and they made a fight. Yeah, they made a match for them. Roman Reigns told him that he's the baddest man in the WWE, and the WWE is his yard, and he asked for a fight, and so they made a match just last night, the main event between Samoa Joe and Roman Reigns. Then in other fights, Nia Jax defeated Bayley. Then we had Braun Strowman. I mean, this guy is so big, so powerful that he doesn't fight one wrestler anymore. Yesterday there was a handicap match. He took on 4 wrestlers. TC Bonus, Rob Kelly, Dusty Wallace, and James Stock, and he beats all of them. He piled them on top of each other and pinned them. So Braun Strowman defeated 4 other guys. We had Akira Tozawa, who defeated Drew Gulak. This was in the cruiserweight division. Then Chris Owens and Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho were having a promo. So they were hinting that they could fight themselves at WrestleMania 33. But Goldberg came to the ring and he addressed the challenge that was issued to him by Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman. And he accepted that he was going to fight against Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 33. But as he was saying that, he was cut off by Owens, who admitted, he claimed that Lesnar versus Goldberg sounds like the perfect mid-card match for the Kevin Owens mania. And Goldberg got angry and asked him if he was available for Fastlane, and he had challenged him for his belt. That was the Universal Championship match at Fastlane. Fastlane comes before WrestleMania 33. So Chris Jericho now teased, there's this list that he has, and he writes people's name in the list. So he was saying that he was going to put Goldberg, that Goldberg will make the list, but Goldberg took the list from him and wrote his own name instead, and he said he was ready to take on Chris Jericho. So Chris Jericho accepted the fight between Goldberg and Kevin Owens on behalf of Kevin Owens at Fastlane. Then we also had Sheamus and Cesaro, who took on the WWE Tag Team champions, talking about Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. But the Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson won that fight because Enzo Amore and Big Cass were at ringside and they interfered, so there was a disqualification. And Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson won that fight. We also had the New Day, who defeated the Shining Stars. Then Chris Jericho defeated Sami Zayn to retain the WWE United States Championship. Then we had Cedric Alexander and Jack Gallagher, as well as TJ Perkins, who defeated Naomi Da, Tony Nese, and Neville. Then the main event, we had Samoa Joe taking on Roman Reigns. Samoa Joe won this fight, but we've got to say that first he attacked Roman Reigns before he got into the ring. Then later, the big man came to the ring and caused a distraction. Talking about Braun Strowman, he caused a distraction, and that was what enabled Samoa Joe to beat Roman Reigns.
Okay, let's get to see if we can take 1 or 2 SMSs before we call it a day on the show this morning.
All right, good morning, wise men. Is there Copa del Rey match today, Dominic, in Auchi? Copa del Rey today is
I think
Tuesday.
Tuesday. I think Wednesday there about.
I think Thursday. There is on Wednesday, Thursday,
yeah.
I think. Good morning, sir. Pep Guardiola is the most silent killer among the coach in the world of football that fall apart with some great players. That's why it's hard for me to rate him among the best. This is Timothy from Oshogbo in Osun State. I don't know what you mean by silent killer. Russia seems to be very good at such things. Don't forget, US accused them of hacking into their election. Ibrahim just said it as I was doing this. O Donald. Okay. Ibrahim, I like your way. You always have a way of shielding your colleagues when it comes to errors by not reading the. Okay. From Matasawe. All right. This one says, well, maybe if those players had participated, they would not have won. So the end have somewhat justified the means. They should be pardoned. O Donald, really. Okay. Good morning, wise men. Is there? Okay. Taking this one before. Good morning, sir. Okay. Let's see. All right. Don't know why we keep having the same message. Okay. Good morning, please. I want to know where is Yakuba Egbeni of Manyu Kachi from Sapele Road.
He's on trial at Coventry City.
Good morning, Sports Chairman. Friday from Wire Road. This Jesus in City will soon fall apart because any team City will play now will watch out for him. He will soon know how England is. Kelechi was not given this chance even when Aguero was off. Please, I think your analysis of Super Eagles World Cup squad is USA 94, not France 98. Up Eagles, up Chelsea, and up KUFM, MC Eddie from Sapele Road. Which
you're talking about, you're comparing the 1994 and 1998 squad. Probably he got it confused, but we're actually talking about Mike Menalol of there. Talking about the USA
94.
Right.
We said the squad at France 98 was not as good as that of USA 94.
All right, we have to take the final whistle now because we are out of time. I don't understand people turning down their country. And like the legend Bob Marley always said, if you don't know where you come from, you don't know where to go. It's always tough to be an African because you can be the best African coach, but they will never give you Paris Saint-Germain, Barcelona, Liverpool, or Manchester United. That is why I say to all the boys, don't turn down your country because the future of this world is in Africa. Former Senegal international Ehaji Diop speaking after Cameroon emerged African champions on Sunday. And that's the final whistle on Sport Fiesta this morning. And of course, when you hear that, it's time for us to leave this studio. But don't worry, we're back later today by 5:30 p.m. Until then, have yourself a great Tuesday ahead. Bye for now.
This year, 2017, sports take center stage. The